got somebody on here that we're going to bring on as a guest. His name is Erik. And Erik, you're one of the guys involved with BitInstant.com. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, among other things.
Now, I wanted to make sure that we didn't cover the same ground tonight as we did last night, because we had Roger on, who's also involved with BitInstant. And BitInstant, obviously, I think is a pretty big deal, because it makes it easy for people to get their hands on Bitcoin. But that's not the only thing that you've got I guess that you're involved in when it comes to Bitcoin. What was it that you wanted to share with us tonight?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things. First, I wanted to share what we did last week. We were in Vienna. A few of us were flown out to Vienna to see a new device that is being created for Bitcoin specifically. It's a little tiny card that will fit in your wallet, and it has a screen, and you can basically use it to send Bitcoins or receive them with others in your area using a mesh network. So it doesn't.
What is a mesh network?
Yeah, so a mesh network is just a network that creates itself spontaneously with other devices in the area.
So you don't need to have an internet connection for a mesh network.
Right.
So it's a little Bitcoin screen that looks like the size of a credit card that allows you to send Bitcoins to other people without the internet, without an internet connection.
Yes, and it also doesn't require a power connection because it is completely solar powered, and you can also bend
Unbelievable.
Well, if you put it in your wallet, I mean, not much sunlight gets in my wallet.
Yeah.
What do you do? Wear it on your hat?
It gets power from a number of ways. Every time you push the buttons, it gets power. When you can bend
So it's like Oyster
back
Perpetual.
And
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is like space age. That sounds really fantastic.
Does it exist? Did you see one of these things?
We saw it. We played around with it. It's technology that's being built by these guys over in Europe, and it's not really available on the normal market. So most people would have no idea that this stuff exists.
How long until it's available?
They'll start producing probably in January.
So exciting. Now, I was watching, there's a video that you suggested that I go watch, and even though the internet here is just dreadfully slow, I was able to stream most of the 4+ minute video prior to the beginning of the show. I haven't seen the entire thing yet at this point, because, again, limitations on internet connections up here in Rogers Campground. But this card, the video makes it look like it does a whole lot more than just transfer Bitcoin.
Yeah,
like you can send messages and things like that.
The technology allows for all sorts of things. They've been building this card for about 5 years, which is longer than Bitcoin has existed. Mm-hmm. So it was built with other features before Bitcoin, and then when Bitcoin came out, they were like, wow, this is exactly perfect for our card. So they've retooled it to be Bitcoin specific, and it can also do some other fun stuff.
So in case we're just, in the danger of treading over stuff that you might have talked about.
What Bitcoin is briefly.
Yeah, so Bitcoin is this internet currency. It is non-tangible, but it allows you to send and receive money. It's completely unhackable. It is not inflatable. So unlike other government currencies where, governments claim to be so competent at controlling the marketplace, but they keep on crashing it into the ground over and over again in collusion with the banks, Bitcoin disallows that kind of thing. And
it's not government related in any way, shape, or form.
Right. So I mean, whatever realms that people believe the governments should be involved in, very few people believe that governments should be involved in manipulating currency markets, and especially
I think most people believe it just because it's always been that way. I think most people believe that governments have to print money because that's the way it's always been.
Then apparently, people don't know what gold is.
Bitcoin, I think, is going to help change that perception because it really puts money back in the hands of the people.
Right. It shows that money can work without government. And it's not just a theory, but it's actually working right now.
Well, right.
I can't imagine anybody doesn't think that money can work without government. Really? I mean, there's mouth-breathing people out there.
Some people think you can't have the trash picked up without government.
I mean, the 5,000 years of gold out there, and people think that governments need to be involved in money?
Well, people think that gold screwed up the money, so they say that that's why the government.
Right, I heard one person one time say, doesn't gold cause inflation? How can gold cause inflation? Inflation means printing money. You cannot print gold.
But that's just it. These people, they don't understand inflation. I mean, when you go to a government economics class in government high school, which I slept through most of mine, but when you are there and awake, they will tell you that inflation is a rise in prices. So, I mean, people just don't even understand from the beginning. Yep. If you don't know what the words are that you're saying, then you're not communicating.
If you look at silver, or choosing another precious metal, compare it to gas prices 3 or 4 decades ago, then compare them today, you'll see that gas prices are constant. You're relatively constant compared to precious metals over that time period. So this is a willful ignorance when it comes to real money.
Well, I don't think most people pay attention to the price of silver, and they certainly don't know what the historical price of silver is.
Well, they've heard me now.
No, I majored in economics in college. I took classes called the History of Economic Thought. Not a single time during my tenure there did we ever even mention the term Austrian economics.
Yeah.
I was I didn't even hear that word until I got out of college.
So there you go. I mean, somebody who actually went through an economics education completely in the dark about these things. The average person, they don't know this stuff. So it's important to talk about it. I'm glad that we've given a baseline. Bitcoin is something new. It's exciting. It's completely disconnected from governments. But let's get back into this Bitcoin card. The website, by the way, is bitcoincard.org. You guys are in talks. You and I guess the BitInstant guys are in talks with this Russian oil magnate or something.
Yeah, a few of us were invited to fly out there to check it out because we're very involved with the community, and he wanted basically to get our feedback, and he wanted us to go back to the community and tell them about this thing that he was building. So we went out there there were about half a dozen of us, and we met this guy and got to check out this card firsthand.
So he's basically just some wealthy Russian oil dude who's got a bunch of money that he wants to throw into Bitcoin to help this make this happen.
Yeah, he's a serial entrepreneur from Siberia. He's extremely interesting person, and like many of us, when he discovered Bitcoin, he just went crazy for it, and so he's using his resources to start helping to build the infrastructure around it.
Because people who have a real understanding of economics, real economics, can see that there's a lot of potential in Bitcoin, and it's understandable why people would go crazy for it. So we can talk more about that here in a moment. The Bitcoin card, it sounds fascinating, and I want to know more about this mesh network and how this can work without the internet. That's confusing to me. 855-450-FREE, the SACL CAI toll-free line.
Get 18,000 radio stations from around the world. Pandora, Opio, Live 365, and MP3 tunes. With C. Crane's CC Wi-Fi Internet Radio. It's great in any room of the house. You can listen to your favorite station stream from back home, whether it's another state or another country. Play Free Talk Live's live streams, LRN.FM, or your favorite stations. If you're not familiar with the C. Crane Company, their products are the best. Get the CC Wi-Fi Internet Radio at ccrane.com, CCRANE.com.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever's on your mind at 855-450-FREE. We can still take your calls even though we're out in the middle of, well, pretty much nowhere. We're up in the northernmost portion of New Hampshire. It's a place called Coos County, and it's right next to the White Mountains. We're at Rogers Campground for the 2012 Porcupine Freedom Festival, where the campground is absolutely packed full of people. I guess I can't say it's packed full. We're not at capacity yet. There is room for this event to grow, which means there's room for you and your family, your friends, to come up here next year. It's too late now. This is the last night. It's going to be the last bash, and inevitably a lot of people, I imagine, have already begun their Saturday night partying experience. There's going to be... Oh, Mark, you're here now. I want to turn your mic on.
I think they started that on Thursday.
The party's been going on all week, but it's also a family event at the same time. In fact, Mark, you're here with the family. You've got Jack, your 4-year-old son, and your wife and dog. Everybody's here.
That's right.
What was the family activities going on today?
Well, there was an ice cream social and playing on the playground and swimming in the pool and doing all the things that families enjoy doing. They had some giveaways of some games and giveaways of little toy prizes and stuff like that. And the kids are loving it.
Excellent. So there's always something to do for the family. And Julia and I were walking around the park today, and she commented on how the playground here is an old school playground. Like, it's got all metal equipment. It's got all the stuff that's like completely been banned from all the new like government safety playgrounds that they have at the park. So you get the merry-go-rounds, which I guess they don't.
Can't have a merry-go-round on a regular.
They don't make those anymore, do they?
No. There aren't any teeter-totters. I've got to say that was a true torture device. I mean, setting it up where you have this zero-sum situation where people are just going to jump off and let
it's horrible. I agree with you. I mean, I've seen more injuries on a teeter-totter than anything else, but it's a lot of fun, and you can bring the family up here. You can be a single person, a couple, whatever. You're going to have a blast at Porcfest if you love the ideas of liberty, if you want to be around other people that understand what freedom means. And of course, freedom means the ability to live your life as you want, so long as you don't harm anybody else in the process. So go to porcfest.com, porcfest.com, to learn more.
Tell you about a really interesting device we've been using at my house. It's called the C. Crane Company's Super USB Wi-Fi Antenna 3. Now, if you've been listening to AM radio for, going on a few years now, you know that the C. Crane Company makes only the best products. And, they spend time and engineering in order to make products that last. Fine. The Super USB Wi-Fi Antenna 3, however, allows you to get Wi-Fi reception in your home or wherever it is that you have one. I mean, here on the campsite, we're using Wi-Fi hotspots. It allows you to get reception for up to a mile. At my house, I can actually see my neighbors' networks, which is amazing. And, if you've got a big place and the reception, say, up in your upper office is bad and, down the kitchen it's good or wherever, this will change all that. So it's called the Super USB Wi-Fi Antenna 3. I highly recommend it, and it's been working for us. At my house. So you can go to ccrane.com. That's ccrane.com. And when you check out, you can mention Free Talk Live there and get a free flashlight. It's ccrane.com.
Yeah, those guys are pretty serious about good electronics and good radios. Our number here again, 855-450-FREE. Again, the toll-free number allows you to take control of the airwaves. We're here with our special guest, though, to start things out tonight, to talk about some really just futuristic and exciting developments that are surrounding Bitcoin, which of course is a distributed online currency that has nothing to do. It's peer-to-peer. It doesn't have any central storehouses or central manufacturing locations or centralized anything. The whole thing's completely decentralized, and there are a lot of neat things that you can do with Bitcoin already. But one of the exciting things we were talking about earlier this week about Bitcoin is that, there's no licensing fee. There's no corporation behind this. Nobody is claiming an intellectual property rights claim on Bitcoin. So if you want to go and create something that is involving Bitcoins, you just do it. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. And
thus, innovation is happening at an incredible rate.
Yeah.
Since you don't have to go through the court systems or ask for business licenses or do all these things that governments put in your way, things are happening at incredible speed. Bitcoin was this novelty on the internet a year ago, and today you can buy, sell, and trade and live your life with Bitcoins.
You can buy food here at the Porcupine Freedom Festival with Bitcoins, and more vendors. I think Roger told us from BitInstant.com last night that something like 80% of vendors here are accepting Bitcoins, which is incredible. So Eric, you're here from BitInstant.com, and you were talking about the Bitcoin card, which folks can go and kind of get a preview of at bitcoincard.org. I've been watching the video here during the breaks, and it just seems like this amazing technology that we'd see in some sort of future space travel like sci-fi show. But you're saying this thing is here. It's a flexible card that's solar powered that can actually be used as essentially to transfer Bitcoins back and forth, even send text messages to people. And the more users there are of it, the more effective it is, right?
Yeah, it makes a mesh network with all the other devices in the area. So.
Which is independent from the internet.
Right. It doesn't require the internet to work with the mesh network. And then if anyone is on the internet also connected to this mesh network, then it will broadcast transactions out to their larger internet. So
this card can hook up to the internet as well.
Yeah. You'd have what are called like a dongle node, which is somewhere in the vicinity that would also connect to the internet. But that's not required. So the mesh network can just work by itself. And then any connection that you would need to the outside world can be done very easily also.
So exciting. So what else is there something relevant that we should talk about this card? Because obviously I'm totally new to it. So what's this going to change?
Well, it's cool in the, I know a lot of listeners are into disaster preparedness. And this is the kind of thing that can work. People say Bitcoin, maybe that's interesting, but if the internet goes down, everyone's screwed.
Yeah.
This is technology showing that even without government infrastructure, even if the entire internet went down, even if the electric grid failed, this kind of thing, which is still high-tech, can operate without any of that infrastructure.
So how does it work? Because in Bitcoin, you have to these blockchains, which I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I guess it's information. So this information has to propagate through the other Bitcoin people.
To get verified.
To get verified. How does it do it on the cards? How does it this information fly around? Does it just go more slowly? Do these cards have to reach all around the world in this way? Or do they have to get to an internet connection? Does some card somewhere have to get to an internet connection?
Only if you're trying to send money to someone beyond the mesh network. So say everyone here at Porcfest had these cards and there was no internet, as if that's a hypothetical here. Say everyone here had one of those cards. Everyone can be sending money back and forth from their cards without access to the internet.
But when your card gets close to the internet, it says hi, and then it sends
and then checks out what else other people are doing elsewhere.
So if we were in the middle of the woods, you and I, and we both had the cards, we could do business right there, and then it would fly up to the internet.
Yep, as soon as one of us was on the internet.
Now, these cards are interesting, but can't you just do this with your smartphone already? I have a program called, Bit Spinner or something like that?
Yeah, that requires cell service. So you're relying on that infrastructure, and cell phones often always run out of power.
This is something you can literally just keep in a wallet, and you said it's solar powered. You can also power it by pressing on it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, you can just bend it back and forth, and it'll charge it. Yeah, and it's not like you have to sit there for 10 minutes. It's just in average use.
What is it going to cost? I mean,
they would retail for about $10 to $25, somewhere in that range.
So cheap.
Yeah,
and, I mean, and it's going to do more than just be a Bitcoin wallet, right? Like you'll be able to send messages or something like that.
It can,
according to this video.
Yeah, it can do other stuff, but the reason we're interested in it is primarily for its financial implications.
Sure, but the more useful it is, I mean, the more likely somebody's going to pick this thing up.
Yeah, but I mean, phones can do text messages already.
Sure, but if this mesh network thing's going on, then I don't have to use my phone signal to send a text message. That could be useful for activism to have activists in an area be able to.
It can't be shut down by the government.
Think about the revolutions in Egypt and those places. They were shutting down They were shutting down the internet entirely.
I'd like to keep our listeners up to date on the Bitcoin card, and so please let us know. And by the way, thanks for stopping in tonight.
No problem.
You can go more to learn go there to get your Bitcoin.